This is Super Sass Bros with Cory and Jayde. Let's jump in.
It has been a while. I think it's been 2, 3 weeks since we've done this last
Yeah.
podcast. We've been busy learning new things. There was the Google conference out in Vegas. We've been building, we've been selling.
Yeah.
Uh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's been a while. There's been traveling. We've been doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's been good. I think I had my first real entrepreneurial crisis where I'm feeling the pressure of like running a business and just like, trying to find good results and stuff. So I think that's been the hardest thing for me in the last little bit. But otherwise, dude, it's been good. It's been really,
Yeah.
really good. I've been learning a lot though, like the last little bits. Like had a lot more time to spend times learning about like AI agents and what's out there right now, and even a lot of time prototyping in the last since the last time we talked, probably like a month ago. And yeah, I'm all about that vibe coding
Right.
trend right now, which is hilarious because I'm seeing a lot of videos about vibe coding.
So what is vibe coding? Because I am seeing a trend on Twitter and LinkedIn, but I don't really know what it is.
Okay, so vibe coding is talking about people like me
Okay.
which basically use like VO Dev, or like Lovable, or anything that, or Cursor even, like just fully using Cursor, not as a co-pilot, but as like you're running the show.
Right.
So it's anything like that, any AI assisted coding assistant that basically people like myself that don't know code that well, we're just building apps. Now the difference is there's actually some people that are building full applications
Okay.
with integrations like API integrations with like OpenAI or whatever other models, and like setting up like databases and stuff like that, and then launching these businesses. The problem is that if someone like yourself were to go into the repo and just be like, hey, what's going on in this code base, you'd be like, oh my god, this is not good. Like, it's like a mess. It's not set up in a way that it is probably intuitive. It's not,
Okay.
probably not secure enough. There's a lot of instances where some people are just going in and like being able to like find a whole bunch of stuff like API keys and like passwords and information stuff that's being stored in areas in the code base that should not be stored in that area of the code base.
Okay.
So I'm aware of those things. So I'm trying to make sure that that doesn't happen when I do it. And I'm mostly just doing it out of prototyping.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm truly vibe coding and launching would be, I would call it just front ends, like landing pages almost. Like
Right.
anything that requires like is front end, but it is like client side. Like you have like pass authentication.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch that. I want that to be secure. I want that to be correct.
Right.
But that's about what vibe coding is. It's just like you're just telling AI what you want and it's building it and you're like, cool. And you just keep rolling with it. You're vibing with it. That's what the whole thing is.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would consider myself a vibe coder then because I'm definitely using tools like that too. I would honestly say 70 to
Yeah.
75% of the code that I write is now AI generated. I
Wow.
know, yeah, seriously. And then I kind of just go in, clean up everything, do
Yeah.
everything that you basically just said, right? Like make sure things are in the right place. If there's bugs, I'm going and fixing it myself because it's
Yep.
just makes me that much faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tools like Cursor, when I was at the Google conference, there's also Windsurf and they had a big booth there as well, which is like
Yep.
Cursor's competitor. I don't see a world where we've gotten so spoiled with that now that I don't see a world where any software engineer wouldn't use a tool like that.
Totally, totally. But the only benefit for you though is that because you spent so many years without a tool like that, when you use a tool like that, like tell me if I'm wrong, but you can actually look at it and you're like, if something looks out of place or it's not scalable or it was written wrong or inefficient or whatever it might be, right? You
Yeah,
recognize that stuff.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it superpowers you for sure. And
Yeah.
I think that can be said with almost any job.
Mm,
that you can leverage AI for. I think software engineers are a great example of people feeling like their jobs are going to be replaced. And I'm
yeah.
here to tell you that I personally do not believe that AI will replace you. I think it'll just help accelerate you and
Yeah.
allow for just more creativity in your workspace and your day-to-day life. Use AI to do what you can use AI for, because
Yep.
if you don't, then someone who's using AI will replace you. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. And I agree with you. I think if you asked me a few months ago, I'd be like, oh, yeah, like we probably won't need software engineers. 100% we will. And I just noticed something. So, something I started doing yesterday was like going on like something like Upwork or anything like that. I started looking for like software dev like projects that are on there just to be like, see if there's anything that would fit for us.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed, a common trend through so many of these projects, someone started something in Lovable or Bolt.dev or RIA or whatever it might be. And they're like, now I need a software engineer to come in and make it like fully functional, make it fully secure, make sure that what's here is correct or whatever. So tons of projects like that where people
Wow.
started something, but
Okay.
now they need a software engineer to like finish it or like validate that what's there is correct.
Right.
So
Right.
interesting trend that I noticed yesterday going through all these projects, and I was like, huh. Because now they're asking, they're like, we need someone who's an expert in like bolt.dev. But I'm like, well, you don't necessarily need to be. Like, you could just, you know, as long as you like I don't know, like upload that code base to GitHub, and we could just like look at it and do something. We could work on it somewhere else, right? Just in like VS or whatever it might be, and just do something different. Like, it doesn't need to be in there,
Right.
but I think they think it does, which is really interesting. But anyway, just a trend I noticed yesterday.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, I didn't know
yeah,
that. It's very good to know. Yeah, and I think we're just going to see more and more of that, right? Because you're going to have a lot of these people that can get it to a certain point,
yep,
and then, just like almost anything with AI, get you 80% there, and
yeah,
then you now need to get a human in the loop, an expert, if you will.
yep,
Dude, lawyers, you start drafting up like contracts, agreements, and then you need a lawyer to just review it, right? You save
yeah,
time and money on retainers and things like that.
100%.
It's the exact same thing.
Absolutely, man. Now,
Yeah.
dude, I want to talk because you mentioned the AI conference that you went to.
Yeah.
You learned a lot of stuff, or you heard of a lot of things. Like, what's new? Like, what are you excited about?
Yeah.
What you've been diving into or want to dive into?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I'm super excited about is this idea of like it's called Agent Garden, and basically this is a way for anybody to it's a marketplace for agents, right? So you can go on there, buy, sell, lease agents from other people, from other developers, and use that in your workflow. It's a great monetization tool where you can
Hmm.
build your own agent, and then just list it. It's kind of like a theme forest is kind of how I like think about it, where you can create templates, and people can just go on and buy your templates or license your software templates, from ThemeForest. It'd be the exact same thing with agents. So you just go on there, and if you need an agent that is able to do X, Y, and Z automation for you that's integrated to all these different systems,
Yeah.
you can just go in there and just lease it, or buy it. And yeah,
Leasing agents.
I think
That's cool.
yeah, so it's like what I think is going to be cool too is like the valuation of these things, because if you
Hmm.
start like if you can imagine where we have this, you have a SaaS tool, and then there's the business is revolved around the SaaS tool, and the valuation of the business has some sort of multiple because of the product that it has. What does that look like if instead of a SaaS tool, it's like a AI as a service tool, right? And then how does
Right.
that valuation, right? I think we're still trying to kind of figure that out, but I'm
Hmm.
definitely seeing a world where, especially with this new agent to agent protocol, where you're
Yeah.
now able to go in and just speak to different agents, and you can have like this new hierarchy of like a root agent, and this root agent passes the responsibilities down to its team of agents, and its team of agents are specialized in certain areas where, now they themselves are responsible for doing those tasks, and then it kind of gets bubbled up to the root agent, gets sent back to the user. What does that holistically kind of look like? How do you package that, sell it, license it, distribute it, and
Yeah.
ultimately build a business around it? So one thing that I'm trying to truly figure out is, what is the difference between automation and then like an AI agent, right? Or
Hmm.
just like an agentic flow, right? And I was thinking about this yesterday, and I'm like, well, in an agentic flow, I have full control over the prompt that I'm giving it, and the task that I'm giving it. With an automation, it's only happening if a certain event happens and then it has a flow for it to go through,
Right.
right? So in one scenario, it's like there's an automation if this happens. An agentic workflow is I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to figure out the automation on the
Yeah.
fly,
The
essentially.
way I think about it is that inherently every agentic solution, whether it just be a single agent or multiple, is an automation, but not every automation is agentic. And so you can have an automation that has no agents in it, right? It's just like a conditional sequence of flow that occurs. Like you said, it's an event that triggers it. And then you can just have it do certain things. Like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example right now, but it's just like a sequence of events. Whereas like an agent is like, it just does things on its own or
Yeah,
through a prompt that you give it, right?
that's right.
But yeah, that's how I think about it now. It's like they sometimes can be one and the same, but not always.
Yeah, exactly. So where I see the power of all of this is being able to, instead of having a bunch of different apps open and having to authenticate a bunch of different places, and you
Yeah.
now have like this like tab hell on your laptop or on your computer, where I would love to get to is I have my own personal assistant where I'm able to just give it a prompt and it knows everything about me. When was the last time I had a dental cleaning? What is my copay on my if I was to go get a physio treatment?
Yeah.
When was the last time I got my shots? So like you got your medical stuff, your dental stuff. Um, what is the valuation of my house? You know, like everything that is like owned by you,
Mm.
has to do with you. It's a single prompt and it's able to integrate with wherever this data lives. And it's funny, I was talking to my buddy yesterday and he was like, you know what? I feel like Canada has gone to a place where we had to over engineer everything because in Denmark, this is already the way it is. It's a centralized source where all this data already lives that you already have access to. It's not like your data lives here, 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 and then you have to kind of go through all these different hoops to
Yeah.
try to figure out what it is. It's just like you go into your portal and all your medical records, your dental records, everything just like lives there. And I was
Really?
like, yeah, so I mean, that's like, there's obviously that problem I think that I wish Canada would solve, where we're able to just have that like single source of truth where we can just go in. And that would make
Yeah.
everything so much easier because the agent just has one place to look as opposed to just jumping through all these hoops. But taking that and then now you now have like this digital record of yourself that you can communicate with, create analysis with, correlate your data and figure out different trends. You know, different verticals of your life, having all that data in one place. I think that's just super valuable for it to have something like that.
Interesting. I feel like I would like something like that as well too. How do you feel about like who has ownership over that where that data is stored?
Well, I mean, right now, okay, so years ago, you actually sent me an article. Title of it was Decentralization. Who cares?
Oh, yes, I remember my brother sent me this
That's
and then I
right.
sent it along to you.
He sent it to me. And at the time, like this is a 2020 crypto boom, and everybody was just like, oh, everything should be decentralized, and you know, everyone should have like full ownership, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And then like hit the article, and I love this article. Historically, the premise of the article is we have as a civilization has never ownership of our stuff and we've always loved to kind of have someone else have the onus of this stuff
Yep.
and we can just go to that person because either one we have someone to blame, and two, we don't want to be accountable or responsible for anything. So we just want to just be able to just pawn it off to something.
Totally.
That's how things have historically always been. So I think while the idea sounds great, yeah, if something goes wrong with my data and I own it and I for whatever reason ended up deleting it or something, now I blame myself and I'm like shit. Like that's no bueno.
Yeah. I agree. I personally don't care if it's centralized or decentralized in this data. Like I think there's always gonna be a risk that either you're gonna fuck up with it or they might fuck up with it as well too. But like you said, it's in human nature. We like being able to like point at someone and be like, well, it's
Yeah,
your fault.
I don't think anyone really cares because think about all the information that we're already putting on the internet. And I
Oh,
use this example all the time. Like 20 years ago, we were told not to put our information on the internet to get into a car with a stranger. and now we put our information on the internet to get into a car with a stranger to take us somewhere. You know, I think times are like completely different now. So yeah,
I would
I think people think they care, but I really don't think they care. And I think there's a lot
no.
of power but behind having your data being shared, because you can do a lot with it, in terms of the relationships that you hold, kind of just like the data analysis between your data and X, Y, and Z. Like think about how much of your decisions, even like just today, were governed by having data shared.
Mm,
You drove to Welland this morning. That's a 2-hour drive. You use an algorithm to get there because you probably had your Google Maps on.
yep.
You had your alarm probably wake you up today. So you set that there on your phone, right? Us recording this podcast and we're gonna share it and we're probably going to put a bunch of like a caption, a tag, a thumbnail, a title, whatever, and all of that needs to feed into an algorithm so that people can hear us. Like I think that our life, little as we know, is actually very, very pushed through
Mm,
the data that's shared.
yeah.
So who owns that data? I don't really think people care. I think people just want um, ease of access to things.
100%. I much prefer convenience over anything else. Like, I think that another thing as well too. A lot of times with decentralized systems, you can also control how your data is being used, right? Like a lot of these, like when you think about like Google, Meta, all these places, you can, if you really want to, limit the use of your data, right?
Mm,
Some people get annoyed with it, right? Because they're like, oh, why did I just get fed an ad for something I was just talking about or whatever, right? It's
mm,
like the engines behind these algorithms like are so good
yep.
at understanding you and
Yeah.
where your next thought might be.
Right.
That's the whole job. There's whole teams that are meant for social engineering,
Hmm.
stuff like this.
Hmm.
And so, but anyways, so I think anyone that's like concerned about it, like I'm like, you can control how your data is being shared or used in a lot of these centralized systems or
Right.
ecosystems.
Right.
But I personally like, for me, I don't care too much. Like I prefer the benefits
Hmm.
of data being shared and the convenience of a lot of things
Hmm.
versus anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's like even going back to the Google Maps example, I don't know if this
Yeah.
has ever happened to you, but as soon as I wake up in the morning and it's like 7:30 in the morning and I get into my car, like it directs me to the office and it knows where I'm
Yeah.
going, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or it's like, you know, 11 o'clock in the morning. It's like, oh, you going to your car, or you going to the gym. It's just like it just knows my routine.
Yep.
And I'm actually like, cool, start, and away we go, you know?
Yep.
And a lot
Absolutely.
of the times, like, we don't even need to do that. Like, we know how to get to the office, we know how to get to the gym, but we just like seeing take 7 minutes to get there or whatever it is. And just, I don't know, personally, or to see if there's accidents on the road. I don't know.
That is always it for me. I always will put Google Maps on, even if I know exactly where to go, even if it's not that far,
Yeah,
because I'm like, if there's a chance that there's traffic, I want to avoid it,
that's
right?
right.
I want the
That's right.
fastest route wherever. That's what I mean. People want convenience, right? We want the
Right.
fastest thing as soon as possible.
Yeah. So
So cool.
super cool.
Nice, man.
This week you talked about brainstorming ideas. How's
Yeah.
that been going for you?
Good. What I've started with is first actually just coming up with a list of people to talk to.
Okay.
So that was my first thing. So I'm going through like my first degree connections and people, and I'm having just like a going list of people I'm just gonna have conversations with. And these are mostly people I've had conversations with before,
Okay.
but either I know they're very influential, they have a unique opinion on this on a certain space they're in. So I'm trying to just like get a good spread of people across different industries in different parts of the world to get a better understanding of kind of everything that they do. And I'm just trying to go in, like you mentioned before, like just to listen,
Mm-hmm.
really, hear what
Mm-hmm.
they're working on. I have like a little list of like questions that I want to kind of go through with them, almost like interview them a little bit.
Yep.
But a lot of stuff just around just to understand like what problems they're dealing with and stuff like that. So I have a little list of like ideas that I personally myself would enjoy building or enjoy running a company with or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like just kept that list very small and short and just left it alone for now and just going to focus on talking to people and just seeing if there's crossover, cool. If there isn't, then we'll explore where people actually have problems, right? So, because I've always been very much like I love thinking of the solution first, and I love your recommendation of just like let's think of the problem first, right? And that should be it. That should be the right way to do it. So, trying to not be cart ahead of the horse.
Right.
So that's kind of how it's going. So I have a list right now. I think I have like just 10 people on it. I'm probably going to add up to 30, um, and just see how many people I can get on a call with in the next like kind of month or so.
Sweet,
Um,
man. Very cool.
yeah, so that's kind
That's-
of it.
So Six Summit, you guys know, obviously we're a software agency. We build AI-enabled software applications. And we've said this from the start is this is what we're using to essentially seed the company, right? But
Yeah,
ultimately we do product, software, platform, SaaS,
something.
whatever you want to call it. This is what we're both super passionate about. And I think right is of what is the world looking for? What problems are there in the world? Especially like right now, we're in such an incredible time with how agent development kits are being released and like what Google's been doing with like Agent Garden, Agent Space, and how quick these models are just evolving fast. You're able to build applications. So the time right now has just never been better to build consumers, small businesses. So I think it's like making sure that we're not getting ahead of ourselves, making sure
Hmm.
we're tackling up. So that is kind of where we're at right now. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's been brainstorming, talking to people, going to be talking to people.
it's a hard balance to strike though, right? Between like you want to build something that you can build for the long run,
Hmm.
right? Versus, potentially something that you're not really passionate about or you're not that interested in. Because I think it doesn't necessarily need to be a passion for it, something for you to pursue it, right? You just need to be interested in it for you to actually have enough energy to go pursue it. But it's definitely a balance. So like as part of like the people that I'm reaching out to, I'm also reaching out to people that are like in sports or people that are in like the space industry or have been in the space industry, because
Hmm.
those are like common things that we both enjoy
Love it.
but don't really know what problems they actually have out there. We could
Right.
guess all day long,
That's right.
but we don't actually know. So I have a couple people on my list that I know have experience in those spaces or know people that do. And
Right.
so I've added them to it, but also trying to add in like a lot of my contacts as well are in like fintech or financial spaces just naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to get a nice mix. But it is hard sometimes. You want to bring in a little bit of what you enjoy, and if there's a crossover, that is it's a sweet spot, right?
That's your spot.
So, but yeah, so I'm really interested, especially the sports and space stuff. It's pretty cool. So I'm interested to talk to those people to hear like what they're dealing with,
Yeah.
because especially on the space side, it's like such a grand thing. Like the
It is.
problems they're solving are very grand, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking of more of like a not just like a very localized level, but very humanistic level, like humanity type of thoughts, right?
Totally.
So yeah, so that'll be interesting. I'm gonna do some live R&D, do some discovery, and see what I can come up with, and yeah, kind of just start planting the seeds and see where we can go with it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think even our next podcast, we can kind of run through some of the ideas that you've heard of, some of the problems that you've encountered over the week. We can just talk about them live, discuss them,
Yeah,
have people kind of comment on what they think. If you guys have any ideas or problems that you're facing that you believe we can help with, or you would love to have solved for you, um, in any industry. But as you heard, we're incredibly passionate about space and sports. Yeah, let us know. We'll jam on it. And we even love to have you on the pod to just discuss it too.
sounds good. Well, I think this is a good place for us to wrap it up. It was good to chat with you again, Jade, and we're happy to continue on this road of discovery and trying to figure out how we can help as many people as possible and build some cool stuff and work with cool people.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. That's it. If you guys like this episode, don't forget to leave us a comment, a rating, a review on Apple Podcasts, but I think it helps. And yeah, we will see you in the next pod.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Super SaaS Pros with Cory and Jayde. We'll see you next time.